today we have with us Prashant Nakwe, who has been a photojournalist for over 2 decades now. He has worked with mainstream media publications, right from Telegraph to Midday to the Times of India and many others. His last stint was with The Hindu, where he worked as a photo editor and was based in Mumbai. He has covered a range of issues, right from climate change to water crisis to drought in Vidarbha and also the aftermath of the Iraq War, where he was stationed in Baghdad and covered the city extensively. His photographs have been published in photo exhibitions in India and outside. Thank you so much, Prashant, for being on this podcast. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We know each other for the last 15 years, I guess,
Yeah,
where we worked together when I was a journalist with the Times of India. We worked together at TOI in Mumbai and covered a few stories, including the Jaitapur
Jaitapur.
story,
Yes, yes.
the protest against the nuclear power plant.
Right. Thank you, Simit, for having me on your podcast.
So, Prashant, you've been a photojournalist for over 2 decades now, and you have seen like photography evolve from, analog photography where you actually use like photo reels and then got them printed. You've seen that transformation
Yeah,
from that stage
yeah,
to digital, and now like people are moving to videos.
yeah.
So, I mean, what's your take on like do you feel that photography is still as relevant as it was like earlier?
Of course, of course. Photography is relevant. It's an eternal, what do you say? It's an eternal form of art. That's what I personally feel. I mean, you shoot film, you shoot digital. The medium may change, but the content what you offer to your viewers is remain the same. And the content what you think and what you shoot is up to person. It's a matter of perspective. Film photography is different genre, and digital photography is different genre. If you have a time, film photography is fantastic. But now, of course, I mean it's very. It's not cost effective at all. But that was wonderful time.
And I don't even know whether you still have like those digital studios where you would get those photos printed. I don't know if people still do that even
Yeah,
today.
yeah, they do. They do. There are still few photographers who practice this. They shoot only film, and they probably said, "I shoot only film." So
Wow.
that's really nice. Actually, nice. I mean, keeping that 19 eras art form, that technique is really important. Actually, the future generation, next generation, must know what film photography is. That's really important. That can actually preserve, and many photographers are doing that.
So while photography as a medium has undergone a lot of change, but it still continues to remain like a very effective, form of storytelling. Could you, I mean, like share your thoughts on why do you think that despite so many new mediums of communication, photography still remains like a very essential part of storytelling.
Photography is essential and will essential forever because it's the most spoken language, visual language in the world. As everybody is talking about it, everybody is shooting about it. So it's going to be there. Maybe the medium may change, but the thing is, why photography is essential? Because people still remember those who are into this profession or those who are the beginners. They still remembers the picture shot by the veterans like Henri Cartier-Bresson, like Jim Cartier, Henri Cartier-Bresson's pictures of the street life, these iconic portraits. This is wonderful. I mean, they are the benchmark for the photographers who are starting their career. They look at it as a benchmark book, as a black book for their career. The Raghu Rai's picture of that Bhopal gas tragedy, which won him the world praise, I believe. There are Joe Rosenthal's picture of the American soldiers putting up that American flag. That's again iconic picture. Alfred Eisenstein pictures of the sailor kissing sailor picture. That was again an iconic picture. And even now, I mean, after 56 years, people still remember those pictures. Raja Deen Dayal's picture, Raghu Rai's picture, Raghubir Singh's picture, the street photography, his Banaras images. It's iconic, iconic. So people will remember the iconic images. And the image which convey you the message, I mean, I will keep saying that again and again, will always will have a greater impact on the viewers and on the readers.
Yeah, I mean, I when I was studying journalism, like one of the visuals that is, still remained with me was the image of the boy and the vulture, where the boy from Africa,
Yeah, that's Carter, Jim Carter's picture. I
right,
mean, but that picture create a havoc. I mean, people got to know the intensity. I mean, what the famine, what the drought is. I mean, how does it affect the people?
right,
Really affecting,
right.
and it should reach to the audience. And when you get such images, when you actually understand the subjects, when you involve with the subjects, when you spend more time with the subjects, when you move around, and when you have a good background study of the subject, that really helps you getting be there right there and getting the right picture.
By now, we have seen that photography is a medium that a lot of people in the past have used to tell like important stories, stories that have remained with people for a very, very long time. In India, we have organizations, we have non-profit organizations who have been working on a variety of issues, on really serious issues, so right from poverty to education to child rights and
Right,
so on.
right.
And so I want to kind of come back to you in terms of like how do you think organizations in the social development space can use this medium to tell their story more effectively?
See, the NGOs really that we're doing a grassroots work. I mean, they're representative, they're volunteers, those who want to contribute for them in a social work. They really go to the grassroots level, to the remotest of remotest place in India or in each and every state or district. And then how we got to know once their work is highlighted. So if they back up their work with the proper visual documentation, that will really connect with the people, those who actually wanted to associate it with them in the future. That will also help them. It will get an idea that see this is look this NGO is working with the child right. This NGO is working with the water issues. This NGO is working with the gender inequality. So why not? I mean, I would like to associate it with them. They may be it will definitely help them in fundraising as well. That is really crucial aspect or most important aspect to get the work going, good work going. So that way, effective visual documentation, primarily the photographs, and of course the videos are also equally important in generating those curiosity, and it really helps in raising the funds as well. That's what
Right,
I strongly feel.
right. I keep saying this to people around me and my colleagues that like there is I see that there is a clear correlation between organizations who are able to tell their story effectively
True,
are also the organizations who are able to
true,
raise resources more effectively.
true, true.
If you see some of the organizations in India, for instance, who are able to tell their story effectively, let's say the case of Cry or WWF or Greenpeace,
Yeah,
like these are organizations who will always have very strong visuals,
true, true.
right?
Very true.
And these are also organizations that people are able to connect and people know
Yeah,
about them because they have built a brand,
yeah.
using visual communication.
Yeah, Simit, the important aspect in this, the people who work with this organization, they should also have a similar kind of thinking. They should have that vision. Hey, listen, my people, my volunteers are working there. That should be documented. The kind of work we're doing. That vision is not there in many of the NGOs. I mean, it is that does not mean that they are not doing good work. Of course, they're doing good work, but that work is not reaching to the masses. I mean, people doesn't know that this NGO is doing this.
So could you share as to why it is important for organizations to kind of like invest in this? Because generally, like most organizations, for them, they feel that implementing the project on the ground or implementing the program on the ground is much more crucial, and everything else, whether it is documentation or anything else, it comes in as secondary. So could you share your thoughts on this?
I mean, they are right. They are right on their part that implementing the project is the most crucial thing and important thing. But it is equally important to document that implementation. See, I mean, it comes into the three categories, broad categories. That's what I feel. The ones you see the problem areas where the NGOs find out where the problem is exactly. Say, for example, the water crisis. I mean, they will go to the remotest part where there is a water crisis. People are the tribals or people are facing the issue, the water issues. They walk kilometers or kilometers to fetch one pot of water. That's the problem areas, and then the volunteers will see that. Second, when actually the problem intervention, when they see what best we can do to the NGO, so they may give some remedy there. Okay, you use water wheels or you use something else to solve your problem. And the third is how it helped them, the program intervention, how it helped them, how it benefited them. I mean, kind of the impact, what it had. See, these three basic steps for each and every work, whatever work you do, is really important to get documented professionally. Like how you work on field, a dedicated team of volunteers, you should have to have a dedicated team of a photographer and the video journalist as well. Why we remember these few NGOs name when we talk about or when we give the example of NGOs like Cry, like Save the Children, Water Aid, Greenpeace. Why we say that? Because we immediately connect the visuals what they give in their annual reports or the visuals what they show on their website, on their Instagram account or their Twitter account. That visuals really have a strong connect. And why that strong connect is because they have their dedicated team or they have a dedicated budget for the team whom they are giving this assignment, and that is really really important. I mean, look, the other angels are also doing the good work, I mean, no denial of that. But if you don't keep the budget for a proper documentation, it would help. If you don't keep budget, you're not going to get the good proper documentation which effectively showcase your own work, and that's a kind of a drawback. That's what I feel.
Right. But one of the, I mean, this is like a catch 22 situation for most non-profits, right? Because they don't have the budget to keep budget, right? And that's why they are not
Right.
able to,
True.
that's why they are not able to have a dedicated person
Budget is
or
the
a
most
resource.
crucial factors everywhere now. Why NGOs? It's everywhere.
Absolutely. So they need photographs to get budgets or to kind of raise funds. But to raise funds, I mean, they don't have the budget. So where do you start? Like, where do you?
Yeah, I mean, look, Simit, I mean, what you say is right. But there is always a way out once you think about it. There is always a way out. The think tank within the NGOs can always train their staff, volunteers, those who go on field to witness the situation, to access the situation, the gravity of the situation. They can always document it professionally. But for them, they can organize a workshop for them, for the professional. At least they can have the budget for that. So in longer term, it will beneficial for the NGOs itself. I mean, if their staff is doing the good work, then why the hell they need to have a separate budget to give it to the any other production company or to the freelance video journalist or photojournalist?
Right. Actually, that brings me to my next question, which is how can NGOs train their staff when it comes to photography? How can organizations build the capacities of people within their organization so that they are able to take good quality visuals?
Right. I mean, see, when it comes to the technical aspects, I mean, there are thousands and lakhs of videos there on the YouTube. So those who are really keen and interested, they can always learn there online. There are paid courses also, so they can have that also for their staff, for the volunteers. But at the same time, they can organize a quick workshop, maybe a 2 days, 3 days workshop with the professional, those who are into this field, mainly those who are into journalism, photojournalism, and video journalism, because they have the greater connect and they have the experience of documenting the similar situations over the period of years. So they can rope in those professionals for the workshops that will help them. And same time, they can take those professionals on field to train their volunteers that look, this is the way you can document this subject. And the same thing, the similar content they can edit also back to the office. You can edit or compile your files like this way, or you can have a proper image bank that will also help you in the future. So there is always a way out. There is always a way out. But so the workshop will be the, I guess, the best thing to have to train the staff and volunteers.
Right. In fact, this was something that we had started doing for certain organizations that we are working closely. The idea was to how can we train their field level staff,
Right.
to take at least decent quality pictures because when we manage social media accounts for organizations, one of the challenges that I face is that the quality of pictures that we get, from the field staff is not
Very
of
low.
great quality,
Yeah, I know. I
and we always
understand.
struggle to kind of put them together or use them. So my idea was, how can I at least improve, like at least slightly, if not, I don't expect professional quality photographs coming from the field stuff, because that's
Yeah.
not something that they are trained for, or that's not their
True.
job,
True.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Their job is probably to implement the project on the ground, and this is
Yes. Yes.
just a side activity, or this is like an additional task that they have been given.
Yeah.
But at least if we can bring them to a certain level where they at least know the basics of photography, I feel that that would be like a great kind of step in that direction.
Right. It is. It is. It is. It is a great step, a way ahead actually, only to save your budget. So yes, I mean proper training to the staff, to the volunteers is really important.
So if I had to ask you if you could share maybe top five tips, how people working on the field, how can they improve their photography? I mean, what would you say?
I mean certain few basic things one should remember, not just technical aspect, but the NGOs or the CSR activity for the corporates, what you're working for, you should understand the philosophy that for what they are working, what purpose they are working for, and that should reflect in the photograph, in the videos you're taking. That philosophy should reflect. For example, if there is a water crisis and you're helping there, it's a humanity basically at the end of it. So that humanity angle should be reflected in the kind of work you're documenting. Now, how will that reflect? You should interact with the audience, with the people for whose benefit you're working there. So once they are friendly with you, you're naturally going to get a good mood images of them. Maybe they're looking at the camera or looking away from the camera, but right mood should be there. Second, you must understand the light condition when you're shooting the picture, especially in the digital. The harsh light you can always avoid while documenting this fact, especially the morning 4 5 hours and late afternoons 4 5 hours are the best time to shoot. The golden hour, what everybody is talking about, that golden hour rule is really nice. Maybe morning 6:30 to say 10:30 11 in the morning, or afternoon time say 3:34 to evening 6:30, sunset time. The twilight effects really add some good mood into your visual. That really stands out when you see it on large screen. Third most important aspect is how you place your subject. I mean, how are you shooting it? For example, if you're shooting the water crisis situation and they're really walking far away, far ahead, I mean, to fetch a small pot of water. So you have to have experience that. I mean, you can also walk with your subject. You interact with your subject and you can feel the pen. Unless you don't feel that, I mean, you won't get that gravity in your visual. Yeah, while documenting, I mean, they can always say, I mean, there are few basic rules like a rule of third or there is a point of existence, means you are keeping your subject in the center, which shows the existence. A center point in a frame, in your 35 frame, it shows the existence that I feel. There's a rule of third also in any one third frame, one third corner of your frame shows it balances your frame. So you can keep that one third format also. These basic things you can implement when you're documenting this fact. That's really important.
Right. I often see a lot of organizations, taking whenever, especially when they are doing any sort of relief activity or doing some activity with the community, is they would stand, in a queue, or they would stand and directly, look into the camera while giving something, almost like a shadi ka photo, right?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, the staff who volunteer who's this is another very important actually. This is not a funny thing, but it's really important thing. Some images what I keep going through the annual reports or see it online. They're kind of a wedding pictures. I mean, like how you I mean the visitors go on a stage and they give their gift and after that there's a group photo or there's a politician who's cutting the ribbon cutting photo. I mean, images should not be like that. I mean, fine that maybe a one column or two column, maybe a part of the annual report, or maybe somewhere down in thumbnails. But that should not be a primary visuals. I mean, there has to be a right mood.
Right. So if an organization had to kind of, let's say the same situation where there is a relief activity, maybe COVID relief activity, and an organization is giving away maybe nutritional kits, or food, or grocery stuff to a community. Like, how can they capture that? If not, let's say the shadi wala, style. Like, what is like? How can they capture it?
Yeah,
Can you share
yeah.
your thoughts?
When somebody is coming there to get that relief, obviously they are. They are a needy person. That's how they are distributing the work. So their urge, their need has to be documented. But why do they need it? If one can go further extensively, I mean further ahead, he can always travel back at least one or two cases. Like, what are they going to do with that kit, with that medical kit or the grocery? How they're going to use it?
A lot of things that you talked about, like shooting in a certain light conditions and all of that, or even the technical aspects. A lot of organizations, their field staff, they are shooting on their mobile phones. They may not even have like a digital camera. So can like is mobile photography sort of good enough? Like according to you, is there anything that they can keep in mind when they are shooting using just the mobile camera?
Any form of photography you use is good. That's what I feel. I mean, the equipment is secondary. What you think and what you want to shoot is most important. Why people are using mobile? Maybe the budget issues or the accessibility. Because mobile is always handy, so why not let's use this? So why not shoot a better picture on mobile? Why not? I mean, there are professional documentaries. I think shot on iPhone. There are professional documentaries shot on the Google phone or on the Samsung also. So why not? I mean, while shooting that, let's keep that professional approach. Again, it's a choice of the think tank in the NGOs that what they can offer to the staff or to the volunteers. But using mobile phone photography is need of an hour, and you cannot avoid that nowadays.
Right. I want to move to a slightly different kind of question in terms of when generally people are shooting on the field. What are the things that they need to keep in mind when it comes to privacy, when it comes to sensitivity, like to a certain towards a certain kind of topic?
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
you talk
This
a
is
bit
really,
about that?
really important question, Simit. I mean, when you shoot a particular sensitive subject, like I say, when you shoot any minors, those who are below 12 years, 14 years, their consent is really necessary. And I guess the NGOs who's into the field for years and years, they're aware of that. Those who the photographers are shooting, they sign, they consent by the parents and the minors is necessary. Second, when you're shooting any affected people like the sexual abuse or the child abuse, the cases, you just cannot show their faces. You just cannot. I mean, it is insensitive in first place, in my opinion, and it is illegal also. If you want to show it effectively, okay, fine, then you shoot it in such a way with their consent, of course, with their consent, shoot it in such a way where their identity is not visible. I mean, you may shoot a silhouette, or while you're shooting a photograph or while shooting a video, just show when they're giving, where they're talking in front of the camera, just show the lip movement, or maybe just the ear, or maybe their insecurity or their how disturbed they are, maybe with their finger movements, their body language. There are many ways which we can show effectively. So these are really, I cannot say minor things, but these are really sensitive and most important things which need to be keep in mind while documenting these people, when documenting these cases.
So, Prashant, over the last few years, you have done many assignments, including some for non-profits. So, what has been your experience like? And if you could share maybe some stories that you have covered in the last few years.
Yes, Imit, I mean, I can definitely share few examples. I'm working on the project even now. It's called a Jivan Chala, Life is a School. A tribals who's affected by the large dam project, which is Sardar Sarovar project, SSP. People know by now. Those tribals get displaced every time when there is a rise in the dam height. When the backwater of the dam keep rising and the tribals who staying on the bank of Narmada River keep shifting their hamlet from one place to another. They keep going higher up, higher up, higher up, and higher up. So I document that over the period of years. So the tribal started school for the kids that they got cheated over the period of years. Our students or kids should not face the same tragedy what they did. So they want them to educate it. They started the school called Jivan Shala, self-funded with the help of Narmada Bacha Andolan activists. So they literally the school is located in the remotest area in the Narmada Valley. It's on the bank of on the bank of Narmada River, which flows from Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh. So I visited a few schools. I stayed there. I stayed with the students there. I saw how it is going on. That's how, I mean, there is some kind of connect with the subject, with the students there. So while documenting that, I travel with the teachers when they go with the relief material, with the groceries, with the ration kit to the schools. I travel with them crossing the river banks, a small river channels. I go to the school. I saw the school condition is there, and even after the school got submerged, when there's a rise in again dam height and in the backwaters, the school got submerged. I document that also. It gives a perfect to my opinion, gives a perfect impact. It shows the situation how they're affected.
Wow. Thank you so much, Prashant, for sharing this story. Yeah, I hope we can do a lot more sessions like these. I think it was wonderful to have you here today. And
Thank you, Simit. Thank you.
thank
Great
you
sharing.
so much, Prashant. Thanks.